You'll notice he no longer suffers delusions of humanity.
Affirmative.
You done fucked up now!
Has editing your content become a burden, or you just don't have the skill set?
I wish I could focus on content production, but post-editing takes so much time and effort.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
We'll look no further. Here at Asylum 99 Studios, I can help you create professional quality videos that will be sure to captivate viewers. With my creativity and skill, along with your content, assets, and ideas, I can bring your vision into the simulation. I offer the following services: video clipping and organization, content creation, VFX, SFX, and motion graphics, intro and outro assets. Requests may be taken upon further discussion. So if you're a content creator, short on time because you're out living your best life, or you wish you could focus all your energy into producing content, reach out to Asylum 99 Studios today.
What are you waiting for?
What am I waiting for? What am I waiting for?
Don't settle for mediocre videos. Hire me as your freelance video editor and create videos that meet your standards. Asylum 99 Studios. Release your creativity.
What's going on, Ken folks? Here to bring you guys a subject that I really don't like talking about, but I know it's something that needs to be talked about. It's not something that we can allow to be pushed to the back of the room and ignored. And that subject today is going to be federal child trafficking. World governments the world over participate. You don't make it to high levels of anything without crossing paths with this industry, this dark sector of the world. And what makes it even sick is the people that are treading over you are the perpetrators of this. Now they'll try to pretend like they're going to do something about it. They're not going to do something about it. This is their human form. This is where they get their fix. So let's just go ahead and get into this.
Joe Biden should not be running this country. No one who has run his own family in this way should be in charge of anybody else. Biden should explain immediately why he inappropriately showered with his own daughter. He should be asked that at his next press availability.
The social workers in America and in Europe, and it even came out that the Germans in West Germany from the 60s into the 90s took hundreds of thousands of children from Christian families and gave them to 30,000 pedophiles to be raped as young as 3 years old and to live with them and to create a new family.
This study initially involved taking 3 troubled youths from foster care with the consent of their parents. It claimed that the extended period of time away from their family would help to guide them onto a straighter path. One of the boys, known by Marco in some reports, has said that he suffered a great deal of abuse and neglect. As they grew older, Hankel and the other men used greater levels of violence when their victims reached an age where they could finally refuse sexual advances themselves.
Now, if your head hasn't been in the sand, you're well aware that the people that masquerade throughout each of the world's governments participate in these heinous actions. What I want to cover real quickly is what kind of weak-kneed, no spine, belly-crawling creature do you have to be to just hand your kids over to the so-called government? Now, I have experience in Germany. Some loose ties, you could say, right? I can understand perfectly how those people went for some BS like that. They're not really a rebellious people. They tend to go with the government. That's how they ended up a socialist country. Yes, I said that Germany is a socialist country, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the federal trafficking. And what's more is we're here to talk about how a lot of you of the bot herd support federal trafficking, even though you openly express that you don't. But your actions and your votes say otherwise.
See these articles out of Austin and Atlanta and New York, and it's where gay men, in close quotes, and I'm not attacking gay men that aren't pedophiles, but I'm saying gay men, is what they call it in the news, are adopting children, and most of them are social worker kids grabbed by social workers, and they give them to these pedophile men who then sell them to rape gangs.
So there's two things we're going to cover right there, the two topics that he mentioned, right? Number one, homosexual couples adopting children. Now, this is my own personal opinion. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has it, but here we go. If you decided that homosexuality was the lifestyle for you, you opted out of offspring and reproduction. I don't care if you're a nice person or any of that stuff, right? You have no business with a child because your lifestyle is what we would call an alternative lifestyle. Your lifestyle is for self-gratification. Your lifestyle does not propel man into the future. So, if that's the course you're leading, we don't need you leading innocent children down that road, right? Because just you and that dude having that kid is going to raise questions in that child's mind when he goes out into the world, especially back when I was younger. Now, there's a whole lot more you rainbow mobsters running around, but openly running around, I'll say it like that. But these things have to be explained to them. When they come to you, y'all gonna lie to them, jack their heads up, and you're gonna have even more of these maniacs out here running around.
Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Not to mention that the degenerates among the homosexual couples are doing the heinous act that I'm not gonna repeat, but we all just heard it, right? Now, I can honestly say I've never seen a homosexual couple out in public with children. But that's also because they're, the last time I checked, 1.1% of the population or some really small number like that. So it's actually something very rare to see. It's more prevalent on the internet where everything can be put there and go viral. But what I really want to address here is they're getting the bulk of these children from CPS. Where do CPS get their children from? From you. What is an example of how CPS gets their children from you? Baby mama terrorists trying to put their children's father through the ringer and indirectly handing their children over to the golden calf.
What's wrong with y'all women? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
The vitriol and evil in your heart for the man that impregnated you will drive you to put your children in harm's way. You need to step back, lady, and evaluate yourself. There's a saying, if you're out for revenge, it's best to dig 2 graves. But in a lot of these women's cases, the second grave ain't for them, it's usually for their kids.
Zachary Zulock and his husband William Zulock are being charged for child sex crimes. The Walton County Sheriff's Office raided their home on St. Regis Way in Oxford and found that both men were engaging in sexually abusive acts and videotaping it with their adopted sibling children. Police saying that material was being downloaded, which was discovered during a search warrant in unincorporated Loganville.
Now that's an important tidbit of information. If you're unaware, an incorporated community is a community such as the one that I live in, where there's no real city infrastructure, just very small, like transport infrastructure, like paved main roads off of a highway, etc. But then when you start going off into where everybody lives individually, because there's no like set neighborhoods, it's just everybody spread out wherever their property is. But what's more is there's no law enforcement. If you need law enforcement, you have to call the sheriff. Those are the good and bad things about, rural living. Is that you are your own first responder, even more so than you are in a city. But what's more is, how could you ever know? In a place like where I live, you step on somebody else's land, they don't know you. Whether they're doing good or not. you're trespassing. And you open yourself up to danger, especially in the state that I live in. So it's hard to know what the sick people around you are doing, or how many sick people there are around you. We've got to reset the game. This whole non-tribal centered living where everybody's an individual and we're off doing our own things, it has to stop because it's been our downfall.
And is facing several charges of sexual assault of a child and continuous sexual abuse of a child.
I just want to say, I try not to keep this mindset when I'm walking around, but whenever I see pictures of child molesters and rapists and stuff like that, I tend to notice child molesters and people that do heinous things to children, they have a look about them. Now, it's not an identical look. It's just a general look in their eyes and their facial expressions and their demeanor when you're talking to them. I'm not saying go out and start accusing people of this, but when you see certain things, you should prop your antennas up and do some investigating.
His father of 9 was very active on various social media sites. Video after video portrayed him in what seemed a normal life with adoptive kids. The teen said CPS had 8 investigations that led to nothing.
There are almost...
Of course, a CPS investigation is going to lead to nothing. CPS gave that pervert the kids. Let's get one thing clear. Don't ever for 1 second think that CPS doesn't know what their mission is, okay? Their whole mission is to steal children. And they hit you with the mind game of we're child protective services. No. Because your children need to be protected from child protective services. No, sorry.
No words. I mean, that's what we're coming up with when we're talking about the allegations against this adoptive father allegedly prostituting out one of his sons, adopted sons, raping all 3 of these adopted children.
Jason Zwick sits in a Miami County courtroom, but his stay here turned out to be much shorter than first thought. Rather than go through a days-long trial, Zwick simply pleaded no contest to the charge that he raped a child. Already, Kenneth Brandt, the man convicted of raping his adopted children and offering them to others, had been sentenced to 60 years to life in Miami County in addition to 50 years to life in Montgomery. He was set to testify against Zwick, who police say raped one of the children after reportedly answering Brandt's online ad. That ad is how police discovered what was going on. Until the investigation, Brandt had been in the process of adopting a 4th child.
Super predators.
I know this is a very tangled subject, right? Because as a man myself, I don't want men to be viewed as predators, you know what I'm saying? And let's be clear before I get into this, men are not the only people you need to be worried about around your kids. But I'm not going to shift blame and try to point fingers at ladies right now. That's what we're going to do. See, Rondo can shoot straight, right? But shouldn't red flags be going off in your head if a single male who's not with the woman is trying to amass a bunch of children? That would make my nigga ear perk up, because that's very strange, right? And another thing, none of these monsters should be getting any prison time. And I know what you're thinking. Calm down. No, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be punished. What I'm saying is, as soon as you convict them with evidence, of course, or you just can't be out here getting rid of people without evidence, right? But once y'all got them, there needs to be gallows right out back of the courthouse. Go ahead and go string him up.
You die, motherfucker! What you think I am, huh? What you think I am, a fucking worm like you? I told you, man. I told you, don't fuck with me. I told you, no fucking kids. No, but you wouldn't listen. Well, you stupid fuck. Look at you now.
third man, Patrick Reeder, is also accused of raping one of Brandt's children.
New for us at 10, a Chicago veterinarian and dog show judge pled not guilty to child porn charges in court today. Adam Stafford King from Elburn is facing federal charges, accused of distributing child porn. Investigators say he also made disturbing comments about sexually abusing his nieces and nephews and planned to abuse his newborn child.
They see these children as a market, as a commodity. Yes.
Who buys children and infants for sex?
I'll answer that. Chrome heads. Yeah, there might be some people that are just out for the act, right? But then you have those people like the people in government and above and stuff like that who are addicted to adrenochrome, adrenalized blood, right? And they like to get it from children who they traumatize deeply, right? And then usually dispose of later. We're not gonna get into that right now, okay? But I've seen plenty of videos where the victims, survivor victims, talk about it. It is absolutely horrific. But that's who's purchasing children. Monsters, demons, devils, whatever you want to call them.
I've seen old to young. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. It doesn't matter what your color is. It doesn't matter what your belief is.
Infants and children are found online on the dark web. They're often referred to using animals as code names.
Also, don't forget Wayfair, right? Y'all remember that? When they were selling children on the actual Wayfair website and they were listing them as furniture. As furniture. Ever since that incident happened, I look at everything strangely on the internet when I'm purchasing it, especially if it's from it doesn't even matter what site it's from. Wayfair. It could be anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's a sick world we live in. So all you can really do is protect your own, man. And if you see another kid out there that needs some help, help them.
3-month golden retriever, a black lab.
He paid a woman in California to get pregnant, and I guess contractually to give him a baby, that he was then advertising to child rape groups online. The FBI, because they're not all bad, there's still subgroups that are good, raided them and took over the identity of the child rape group, and he was planning to start raping it at 2 weeks old and saying, I want people to come join me and rape the baby. It's every day. You see the San Francisco choir saying, we're grooming your children, we're coming for them, we're gonna get them. And I know it's hard for you to believe that there's this many pedophiles. So I'm not gonna sit here and,
Unfortunately, Mr. Jones, I'm gonna come out and say, it's not surprising that there's so many pedophiles. And I'm gonna tell you why. Simply because there's no fear in their heart. The only real punishment most pedophiles will face is getting shanked up if they make it to prison in the public general population, whatever they call it. I ain't never been to jail. That's the only real punishment they're scared of. They're not scared of people here on the outside like myself, because they know that they'll be protected from us, and they're the criminals. And that's the sick thing about it. So there's too many pedophiles because we don't make it a common practice to hang them from trees.
Point these people and say, I'm without sin. The difference is they want to go out and abuse children. They want to go out and hurt innocents.
So, okay, folks, I'm sorry that y'all just sit there and listen to that. I know it's very hard to listen to and to talk about, but somebody's got to talk about it. Somebody's got to talk about it raw, right? And what I mean by that is my language saying what needs to happen to these demons as a punishment, right? But with all of that said, you see their tactic, and the only solution I see is all you can do is to protect the youngins that have been put into your care, the youngins you brought here, and any youngins around you that you can help. Keep an eye on them, help them out. Because it sickens me to my stomach to say this. There's a lot of kids that we couldn't help, and there'll be a lot of kids that we can't help. And not because there's no will to help. It's just we simply don't know. It's going on. I'm recording. It's 10:30 at night, Mountain Standard Time, out on the West Coast. There's heinous stuff going on right now while I make this video. And there's nothing I can do about it solely because I don't know. And I don't have the information to do anything about it. It's not tough talk, all right? That's not the kind of person I am. I'm only about order and justice. I'm not talking tough when I say what I want to happen to these monsters. It's just, we're all thinking it, and we all need to also start saying it and being about it, because we cannot let this stand. You have no future without the youth, and if they screw up your youth or eliminate your youth, you have nothing left. So with that said, before I piss myself off anymore, I'm gonna get up out of here. Protect your young ones. They're the most important thing.
You die, motherfucker! What do you think I am, huh? What do you think I am, a fucking worm like you? I told you, man. I told you, don't fuck with me. I told you, no fucking kids. No, but you wouldn't listen. Well, you stupid fuck. Look at you now. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. Come on.
I am a human being. I exist.
Delusions, Mr. Wordsworth. Delusions.
Send the word.